The M1 Grand and the STG have now been released into Warzone as weapons that we can use officially and test them out. And in this video, we've actually calculated the stats for the STG and we're going to be comparing it to some of the best sniper support weapons in this game to see if it stands up against the other weapons that are inside Warzone at the moment. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns and weapon comparisons, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and we will be making a follow-up video on the M1 Grand as well. And make sure you click that link in the description and subscribe to our second channel. But like I said, this video is all about the new STG and we're going to be comparing it to some of the best sniper support weapons because that is how this weapon has been built, and this is probably the most valuable blueprint that we're able to use. So first of all, the way this actually works is that you can only use the two blueprints that are available in the battle pass for these two weapons. The full weapons have not been released into the game yet. Of course, they do have the capability to have up to 10 attachments. And as you can see, some of these blueprints have more than 5 attachments, which is obviously what we are used to with Cold War and Modern Warfare. But clearly, within this blueprint, you can see that there's more than 5 attachments, like I said, and this is the first blueprint you get at the start of the battle pass, and as long as you've got the battle pass you can get these weapons, but if you don't have the battle pass then you need to buy it to get these weapons, which is a bit annoying. But like I said, it's probably worth it now that you're actually getting 4 new weapons from the battle pass. So like I said, this is the first of the blueprints, and then we've also got slightly further up in the battle pass we have the second variant of the STG as well, which is kind of like a more long range variant. Now the only issue with this is that the magazine on this one is a 30 round mag, so it's not really going to be viable at long range, even though it might have low recoil, all that kind of stuff. So this is probably one that we'll still need to do some testing on, and clearly as you can see we've not actually unlocked it yet as well. But we will be comparing this first build right here to some sniper support, so let's get on into some stats. So on screen just now, what you'll see is the TTK values along with our mixed shot location TTK values as well for the STG, the Cold War AK, the XM4, and I've just thrown the FARA in there for reference. I had the stats already on the page here anyway, so I just thought I'd leave it up there in case you wanted to see how it stacks up against some long range weapons. And the TTK is not likely to change with this gun with any of the attachments that you put on it, unless some of the attachments modify the damage profile of the gun, which I probably doubt it will do. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't, but we'll just need to wait and see because we don't really know what the base weapon stats of these weapons actually are. But like I said, the actual damage profile for the STG is right here. So it's 54-48, which is very similar to the Cold War AK. Rate of fire 600 rounds, again very similar to the Cold War AK. And then the chest shot damage and stomach and limbs is very similar to the Cold War AK as well. The only thing I didn't really test for was that neck shot multiplier. It could well have one, but I'm not really too sure, so I just missed that out entirely. When you look at TTK values, even when you have those mixed shot locations, everything like that is going to be pretty much identical to the Cold War AK47, which is going to probably make it a pretty viable sniper support weapon because the Cold War AK is a very good sniper support, as we all know from playing with a gun over a long period of time now. Another really good sniper support gun is the XM4, and that's why I've got this here. As you can see, the XM4, when you do mix in your shot locations, does have the better TTK values at close range and at long range, and that is pretty much the case for the XM4. Even if you compare it to some kind of long range build for the STG as well, it's just going to be better overall because the XM4 is just a solid weapon right now. And we've also got the FARA here as well, like I said, for comparison, but it's not really built for this comparison unless we were kind of comparing a long range build of the STG. But like I said, we're only comparing that sniper support build. So like I said, the main weapons we want to compare here are the STG, Cold War AK, XM4, and as you can see, the XM4 has the best TTK values still, but the STG is not far off and is not too bad either. Even if you are a low skill player, you don't really land many headshots, you will still get a very consistent TTK, so that's definitely very good. The next thing I want to compare is actual kind of handling stats. Now, we've not got all the handling stats, we've just got some of the more important ones like reload times, all that kind of thing. And again, this is not going to be the base reload time, this is going to be the reload time but with those attachments added onto the gun. So as you can see here, the reload time for the 45 round mag on that first blueprint is 1.9 seconds, which is very similar to the XM4's reload time, and it's kind of in line. I wouldn't say it's like so slow compared to the Cold War AK or the XM4, but it's kind of up there in terms of sniper support reload times. Mag size that you get on that STG is 45 rounds. The one that I would recommend for the Cold War AK is the 30 round mag, and the one I'd recommend for the XM4 is the 45 round mag. Bullet velocity for a sniper support build isn't really too important, to be completely honest, but as a stat I just wanted to calculate anyway, just to see if bullet velocity on the new Vanguard weapons were like insanely good or anything like that. But it seems like, again, it's pretty much in line with other sniper support builds, and I will show you the builds for all of these weapons in just a moment as well. And then we've got the ADS time for the STG at 250 milliseconds. The Cold War AK SMG build that we made was 233 milliseconds, and the XM4 came out the quickest at 200 milliseconds. So of course, in terms of the builds we compared was this STG build right here, which is the first one in the battle pass, like I mentioned. We then used my usual XM4 build that I use in Rebirth most of the time, which is the standard suppressor, Tiger Teeth Spotlight, Radar Pad, 45 round Serpent Wrap. And then we also use the Cold War AK build, which is this one right here. Regular suppressor, Microflex LED, Skeletal Stock, Serpent Wrap and Bruiser Grip. And this is probably the sniper support build that I would recommend to most people. This is one that I would use personally. But let's take a look at some recoil patterns now, because like I said, this gun is very similar to that Cold War AK that you see on screen just now. So here we have the STG in the Plunder game, and we're going to test it for recoil. So let's quickly fire off a full mag and see what it looks like. As you can see, it has this kind of weird sideways recoil thing. That's a visual recoil pattern. I don't know why it does that. Hopefully that's just something that they do fix in the future, because it is kind of annoying. But let's try and control this recoil. And even though this is kind of like an SMG build, it is relatively easy to control. Now, obviously, it's not going to be as easy to control if you had all the best attachments on this gun. But as a kind of SMG sniper support at 20 meters, it's actually not too bad. And we'll now compare it to the XM4 and then also the Cold War AK as well. So 20 meters away, this is the XM4, the SMG kind of build for this gun. And as you can see, it does go off the screen a little bit, but this is definitely going to be a little bit more accurate when you try and control the recoil. The XM4 is definitely way more accurate, and that's what makes it super good as a sniper support, because even without any kind of recoil controlling attachments, you definitely get a really consistent recoil pattern with this gun. So that is why I really think the XM4 is probably the best sniper support in the game. But like I said, either one of these guns are definitely very good. And like I said, the last weapon for recoil here, we have the Cold War AK, and we're going to test this at 20 meters as well, or 19 for that matter. And as we can see, the recoil is actually pretty accurate with the Cold War AK. It's one of the more accurate weapons in the game now. And even trying to control this at long range is definitely easier than the STG as well. Now, as you can see, the Cold War AK pretty much has the same TTK, same damage, roughly the same reload, roughly the same bullet velocity when you're using this sniper support build, and it has better recoil. So overall, the Cold War AK at the moment, obviously we don't have any other attachments for the STG just yet, but having the meta build for these weapons is definitely very important, as you can see when it comes to recoil. But the STG is still usable as a sniper support weapon if you do want to try it out. Another thing I do want to mention is that these weapons don't have suppressors or obviously on them. It depends on what attachments you take. If you choose a long range build, it does have a suppressor on there, but it only has a 30 round mag. This one has no suppressor, but has the 45 round mag, and then is also built kind of more for sniper support. So like I said, it's going to come down to personal preference which one of these blueprints you actually like to use. But what is quite clear is that it's probably not the meta builds for these guns that we're actually given here. So if you are looking for the best kind of sniper support weapon, choose the Cold War AK or the XM4. But if you do just want to try this new weapon, then it is definitely worth a go. If you've got the battle pass already, it's not going to cost you anything extra to try out these guns. It's definitely a gun that can be very good once we get all the attachments for it, but we just need to wait and see. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. I will be making a follow-up video on the M1 Garand as well, and thank you very much for watching.